The top stories this week are the NFL quarterback shakeup, Raiders' woes, and the closing of a baseball landmark.
You don't need ESPN. We've got everything right here. This is the Rider Sports Corner.
Welcome to this week's edition of Rider Sports Corner. I'm Olivia Hoff.
And I'm Tom Malachi. Let's get right into the show. Coach Brad Childress of the Vikings sent shockwaves through the NFL last week with his decision to bench quarterback Tarvaris Jackson, replacing him with 15-year veteran Gus Frerotte. The change comes after a bad start to the Vikings season, where Jackson clearly struggled through the first two games. Childress virtually raised Jackson as a quarterback, causing the Vikings coach to think this decision over hard.
Football coaches tell their players to take their anger out on the field and save it for those big tackles. Well, someone should let the Raiders administration in on that little secret. It has been a tense week, or season for that matter, for Oakland Raiders coach Lane Kiffin and team owner Al Davis. Rumors have been flying around about the firing of Kiffin after a less-than-perfect Raiders offense, as well as some mudslinging at Davis. It seems that only Kiffin can get away with calling his boss out in public, right? At least for now he can after last week's early season win over the Kansas City Chiefs, 23-8. Kiffin better hope he can keep winning if he wants to keep his job. While there may be plenty of action in the national sports world, there's a lot of developments right here on our own campus. Our own Alex Carini reports on Riders' Ultimate Frisbee team.
Last Thursday on Daly's Field, I had the chance to catch up with the Rider University Frisbee team, or RUF as they like to call themselves. They are gearing up and practicing hard for their upcoming Ultimate Frisbee season. Ultimate Frisbee follows the same basic principles as football, just without the ball and without the tackling. Well, most of the time. But just like any other sport, RUF plays different teams around the area.
I've been able to travel because we go away to tournaments. We've been to Virginia, New York, Pennsylvania.
RUF improves their game every year. This season is no different. Tom Waspel, the president for RUF, has high hopes for his team this year.
I see a lot of improvement in our team. Just by the beginning of this year, we've been playing a lot better. And, I have a lot of hopes that we would hopefully become better in our tournaments.
The team's success is based on its members, who play just for fun, but still take it very seriously.
Well, I wanted to play a sport, and I didn't really want to play any varsity sports.
While RUF members have many different reasons to like the sport, there is one aspect of the game that they all agree on.
It's a great way to keep in shape.
Keeps you in shape.
Mostly to stay active.
Whatever your reasoning is, RUF is definitely a competitive team with plenty of dedication. Whether you're a new or an avid player, the team is always looking for new members.
If you want to learn how to get better, we'll teach you. If you're out there just to play, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the back fields by the track, from 5 to 7, come out. All skill levels are welcome.
This has been Alex Carini for Rider Sports Corner.
It was definitely the end of an era this past week as the New York Yankees played their final game at Yankee Stadium. The Yanks played the Baltimore Orioles in the last innings of the 85-year-old stadium. Regardless of how the game turned out, it was truly a memorable experience. The emotion was present both in the stands and on the diamond as the last plays of the game and of the stadium's bright history were called. The fans were allowed to walk behind the fence in left center, along with the warning track in the outfield and to home plate, and of course through Monument Park. Yogi Berra and Whitey Ford were among those who were present for the occasion. The Yankees came away with a victory versus the Orioles, 7-3. Well, the United States Volleyball Olympic champions Misty May Traynor and Kerri Walsh were back in the States and have discovered something new to them: losing. After winning 112 consecutive matches, the two-time gold medalists have lost their first two tournaments since they have been home. The ladies haven't let it get to them, and instead are turning their attention to starting families and reality television. You can check out Misty May this fall on ABC's Dancing with the Stars.
Here at Rider, our own women's volleyball team has been holding their own. Sean Rainey was there to report.
Here at Alumni Gym, the Bronx are taking on the Wagner Eagles in the season opener for volleyball. The Bronx expect to have a very big season this year.
We're actually pretty enthused about our the season ahead of us. We feel like we're really prepared to challenge the MAC this year, and we have targets for MAC championships. We're looking forward to competing at a very high level all year.
Our team goal is to make it to the MAC tournament and pull out a win and hopefully get to the NCAA tournament.
Rider was led by sophomore Caitlin Thompson, who compiled 17 kills and 7 digs during their match versus Wagner College. She accounted for almost 50% of the team's total offense and talked after the game about how the Bronx were able to defeat the Eagles in 3 sets.
We had to push really hard. It wasn't our best game, but we had to fight and figure it out to win.
And since you said it wasn't your best game, what do you guys have to improve on?
We definitely need to improve on our energy and being ready and pumped up for the game. We're kind of slow and not ready to fight as hard as we had to.
Although the Bronx beat Wagner in 3 straight sets, the coaching staff said there are many things the team needs to improve on for next game.
Well, we're experimenting with with an intricate offense, and it takes a lot of ball control to do it, and it takes a lot of discipline to run it, and that's something that we're working on, and it will be it'll be an ongoing project and process for us the entire season. But the results were thin tonight, but they were enough. They were enough to get what we wanted, and the outlook is good. We're feeling good about it. We like it.
There were great plays from both sides of the ball throughout the night. The overall match saw 23 ties and 14 lead changes. Rider won the match by winning the individual games 25-14, 26-24, and again 26-24. For the Rider Sports Corner, this has been Sean Rainey.
For more information on the women's volleyball team, you can check them out at their website at gobronx.com. When we last saw the men's soccer team, they had lost against Monmouth. Our own Patty Wittenberg was there this week to check them out in their home opener against Delaware.
The men's soccer team met this past Sunday in their home opener against Delaware. The team played without 4 of its starters, continuing their ongoing battle with injuries this season. Delaware scored early in the first half, but the rest of the game was spent in grueling physical play in 80-degree heat. All over the field, mild scuffles and hard plays dictated the flow of the game as Delaware tried to keep their lead over the Bronx. Rider didn't score until the second half, with 2 goals coming from sophomore Andrew Coates, both assisted by senior co-captain Evan Loupsher.
There it is.
Rider tried to hold on to the lead, but Delaware managed to squeeze a goal past senior goalkeeper Randall Zabolski with 8 minutes left in the game. The game ended in a tie after 2 10-minute overtime periods where neither Rider nor Delaware scored. The tie ended Rider's 5-game losing streak. Rider's next game will be at home on Tuesday at 4 p.m. versus NJIT. This has been Patty Wittenberg for Rider Sports Corner.
After a bout with mono, Roger Federer easily beat out Andy Murray in the U.S. Open. After losing in the French Open and Wimbledon finals to Nadal, Federer came through to win his 13th Grand Slam title. Our own men's and women's tennis teams played their first home games this past weekend against Delaware. Jared Wood was there.
How you doing? This is Jared Wood with the Rider Sports Corner. Let's check out some of the highlights from the beginning of the season for men's and women's tennis.
The men's tennis team met up against Delaware State Sunday, September 21st, in hopes to improve their winless record on the season so far. After suffering a 0-7 loss to Delaware State last season, the men's Bronx had all the motivation they needed to capitalize on the day's matches. The biggest wins of the day came from sophomores Chris Esposito and Robert Olson, winning all 3 of their doubles.
It's a big win, man. It's a big win for the team. We won our doubles. I mean, we weren't expecting to win against these huge guys, I guess you could say. It's a big win, though, overall.
Coach Ed Torres mentions how last season the current sophomores came together in order to win matches like these.
They have grown tremendously. You see, they were high school players. They were singles high school players. Chris is from Neptune. He's a Motion Grove guy. He played #1 for Neptune High School. I'm a retired teacher from Neptune. He lives in Ocean Grove. And Rob is down from Marlton. But they were singles players. And in New Jersey high school tennis, you don't play doubles if you play singles. You have to play one or the other. So these guys are not experienced doubles players. Last year they had a whole year together. That paid off with a victory. Last year they couldn't have beaten these guys because now they're learning. See, when you play doubles, you have to know how to volley. You have to know that net play. They're backcourt bangers. They stand in the back and they love the backcourt. But they're gradually especially Rob, who's 6'5". He should. I just told him after the match, I'm glad that you poach. You go after those balls. A guy your size, with the reach you have.
Chris Esposito and Robert Olson eventually led the men's team to a 4-3 victory over Delaware State. Unfortunately, the women's tennis team did not have the same luck, losing 0-7 to the Delaware State women's team.
I think we just need to work on a little bit of communication issues, and that's about it. But we play very well together. We know where each other's at. Just a little bit more communication.
This loss for the women's team brings their record to 1-2, but both the men's and the women's team have high hopes for the season.
I think we're doing a little bit better than last year. I mean, we did better last year, they said, than other years, so I think it's moving up.
With most of the teams we're competitive with some of the teams we're not. And I just tell them, don't get discouraged. Just go out there and do the best that you can. And it's good for you. Even if you might lose, it's good experience because you're playing against somebody who's better. And you only get better by playing people that are better than you are. And eventually you will catch up, just like we did in the doubles today. We won all 3 doubles. Last year we didn't win 3. We lost the 3 doubles. That to me is really an improvement.
For more tennis coverage, keep watching the Ryder Sports Corner. This has been Jared Wood.
USA! USA! The United States grabbed back the Ryder Cup for the first time since 1999 at Valhalla Golf Club on Sunday, beating the favored Europeans for the title. Anthony Kim played the first match of the day against Sergio Garcia, setting the high-energy tone for the day. The rookie stepped up, putting the Americans ahead. The Europeans respected the good behavior of the American fans.
On Ryder's campus, people get together to do something really great for the community and people who are in need. Our own Kelly Dixon was at one of these events and has the story.
I'm here at the Alpha Xi Delta Volley for the Kids in the Student Recreation Center, where today 14 teams will be competing in a volleyball tournament to support Homefront.
The Sisters of Alpha Xi Delta turned out early in preparation for the big day. The annual event has become popular with students on campus and requires lots of planning to ensure success.
Actually, we started over the summer organizing this event. We get all the teams together and we contact people to make sure that the dates are right. And then we start from there ordering t-shirts and everything. And then once we come back to school in the fall, we get on it right away and we organize great teams, get out publicity, and just try to get as much participation as possible.
This is not the only event held by Alpha Xi Delta to support their philanthropy. The money raised at the Volley for the Kids helps them to hold other events for the children throughout the year.
Each player donates $10 and all the money that we get goes to Homefront. So we do Facebook or flyers or anything we can to get the word out.
Students from various groups on campus put together teams, but the biggest turnout was by the Greek community.
You know, that's really one of the paramount foundations of Tall Cap Epsilon, so anything we can do to help out here, we love to do it, and we love to do it all the way.
Some students feel an event such as this really helps in bringing the Ryder community together.
We all get together for a good cause. It's no longer just Greeks and independents. We all come together as one.
If one of us is holding an event, the other ones always show up, and vice versa. So I really think that if this event goes on, we hold an event, I think everyone's going to show up to that too. So it's a really great thing.
The Brothers of Tau Kappa Epsilon were the big winners for the day, and the Sisters of Alpha Xi Delta feel the event was a success.
It went very well. Everybody's happy. Everyone's leaving here with a smile on their face. So I would say that that's a success.
There's been spiking, setting, and bumping, but most of all, a lot of great action. From the Student Recreation Center, this has been Kelly Dixon for the Ryder Sports Corner.
Each week, Mike and Mark address sports questions from the Ryder community. So, Ryder, what do you want to know?
Thanks, Olivia. And now for our first question.
So, Mike and Mark, which Major League Baseball player didn't meet your expectations this season?
For me, the biggest disappointment in the MLB right now would actually be Pedro Martinez. When the Mets brought him in, he was great. He was 15-8 wins and losses. This year, 5-6, and pitching was supposed to be a strong point for the Mets, and now they're struggling. The biggest thing for me is his ERA, which is 5.5, which is the worst of his career. The money that they're spending on him right now is just not up to par with his performance.
All right, I'm actually going to go away from the injuries. I do agree with you. He was supposed to be great this year, and he's not really performing. But to get away from the injuries, I'm going to go with Chase Utley from the Phillies. Okay. I definitely think that last year's Chase Utley compared to this year is a totally different story. Even though he is hitting, he has more home runs. I believe he has 38, and his RBIs are about the same. And But he also has 101 strikeouts this year, and the season's not even over compared to last year with only 89 for the full season.
Out of the 3 teams gunning for the wild card, who do you think will get the spot?
I definitely think the Mets, out of the 3 teams, have the best shot. I think that every year they seem to find a way to get into the playoffs, whether it's the wild card or just walking into the playoffs themselves. They have the bullpen. I know Pedro Martinez isn't playing up to par, but they do have Johan Santana, Billy Wagner in the pitching, and then hitting David Wright, Jose Reyes, Carlos Beltran. There really should be no excuse for them not to at least make the wild card.
I see what you're saying, but going off what's just gone on between the Mets and the Phils, the big switch in the division, I would have to say Milwaukee. They're only a game and a half out of the wild card lead, and they actually have a little bit of an easier schedule coming up compared to the Mets. They play the Cubs like the Mets do, but they play Pittsburgh. So I think the Brewers have a better chance.
So, Mike and Mark, after that last game between the Eagles and Steelers, who do you think is going to be the last one standing?
Okay, a football question. We have Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh. It was a great game on Sunday, but my personal choice would have to be Philadelphia. But the key for Philadelphia is staying healthy, as well as Pittsburgh. I just feel that they have a better chance because I believe they're getting into the postseason, and they are one of the more experienced teams once they get into the postseason. And I think with that experience, they'll be a much bigger threat in the postseason than the Pittsburgh team right now.
I definitely agree with you, even as a Steelers fan, because I definitely think that injuries are holding the Steelers back, especially with Ben Roethlisberger right now. I mean, even though that's the only injury, I definitely think that still hurts. Playing with a separated shoulder as a quarterback is a huge step backwards. But the Eagles' defense is what I love so much right now. I mean, if you look at their run defense against the Steelers, Willie Parker, his first 2 games were fantastic, over 100 yards rushing each time. And he comes into that game and gets about 30 yards with 10 rushes. So he definitely, the Eagles' defense is what I like the most.
Out of all the NFL teams that started out the season 0-2, who do you think will make the playoffs?
Okay, out of the 0-2 teams that have started the season, actually 0-3 now since we're in the 3rd week, I'm going to say that Cleveland has a good shot of at least getting to the playoffs, if not the wild card. I just think that their defense, once the spark gets going, I definitely think they have the talent. They just need to start using it. And as far as the offense, they have the quarterback, Anderson. They got Jamal Lewis in the backfield. He's a great running back. He's had a great career with the Ravens. So I definitely think they have the weapons. They just need to use them.
I would have to go with San Diego on this one because if you look at it, the first 2 games, they lost because they didn't bat down 1 pass, which they would have won that game, and a horrible refereeing call, which would have given them the win as well. They have a little bit of injuries, and I think they're going to get through that, and they'll be fine. They play in a very weak division, although Denver will give them some trouble, but I think they're going to make it. They'll be fine.
Hey, Mark and Mike, how has Tiger's absence helped or hurt golf?
Now, on to our last question, which is obviously golf, and Tiger Woods' absence from golf. I personally feel that it hurts the sport itself because he's such a huge draw, and so many people love him. They love to watch him. He's very exciting. But it is also good for the players because it gives someone else a chance to finally win. Not to say there aren't great stories. We obviously saw the men's USA team win the Ryder Cup, which is the first time they've done that in 9 years. But I think it hurts the sport as a whole.
I definitely agree. If you look at the number of people who watch golf now, I definitely think it has increased, especially with the younger kids. Mm-hmm. Tiger Woods is a role model that golf hasn't had in a long time, and I definitely think he gives a whole new essence to the game. He brings the excitement. He pretty much is the face of golf in my eyes right now. And I'm going to have to agree with you. He definitely gives the other players a chance because his talent is just off the wall. So. Mm-hmm. And that is all we have for this edition of the Sports Corner. Back to you, Olivia.
Now we turn back to home with Ryder's own weekly sports recap. The field hockey team won their 3rd straight game on Saturday, defeating Lehigh 3-1. Ryder Jr. Erin McGinnis scored twice, which were also the first 2 goals of her career.
The men's soccer team had an upsetting loss to Lafayette College, 1-0, but the Broncs didn't go down without a fight. They took the game into overtime on Thursday night before making Lafayette work for their win. Russ Fager, Ryder men's soccer head coach, said that his team is still having problems with possession of the ball and getting people into the right position to score.
Check back next week where we will have all the latest national and regional sports news for you. Have a great week, Ryder.
See you next time.